Life is Strange is a series that is always focused on telling queer stories. Each of their games feature prominent LGBTQIA characters and themes that help develop the conversation around the treatment of minorities. Now, what do I mean by queer stories? Queer stories in games ultimately involve a mixture of mechanics, themes, and representation that change or subvert what is held as the status quo. We tell these stories, and through them we can see aspects of our own lives. Of the four main entries in the series, I'm going to be focusing on True Colors and Before the Storm. Both of these games focus on themes deeply rooted within queer storytelling, but approach them using different methods. True Colors focuses on grief, forgiveness, and empathy, while Before the Storm finds its message in exploration, fear, and companionship. Each story is built on its characters, and I want to look into how the games use their straight characters to develop their queer themes. Specifically, we'll be diving into how Ryan and Elliot, from True Colors and Before the Storm respectively, impact the story. What impact do these characters have on the protagonist? How do they contrast their queer counterparts? And how do they represent heterosexual norms within the story? Each of these questions will give us insight into how we tell stories and develop themes. I'll give a brief summary of each of these games for any who haven't had the opportunity to enjoy them. True Colors follows Alex Chen as she is reunited with her older brother in the town of Haven Springs. The catch is that Alex has the power to feel the emotions of other people, but if those emotions are too strong, they overtake her own emotions. After a mining accident, Alex's brother Gabe is killed, and the story follows Alex as she tries to move forward and figure out why her brother died. On the other hand, Before the Storm follows Chloe Price and her coming-of-age story. Chloe is a troublemaker and is dealing with the trauma of losing her father in a car accident. At the start of the game, Chloe has a chance encounter with Rachel Amber. From there, the two develop their relationship while exploring aspects of themselves that other characters in the game aren't too happy about. Now, what impact do Elliot and Ryan have on Chloe and Alex? Elliot is introduced early into the story as Chloe's friend and clearly has feelings for her. Despite this, he comes off as rather awkward and unsure of how to approach Chloe. Most of the characters early in the game's story treat Chloe as an explosive, and Elliot is one of the worst offenders. The person he is interested in no longer exists, and that conflict is what keeps him from connecting with Chloe. This concept of loving the idea of a person instead of who they really are can be seen in many queer stories, whether it be parents hoping their child would just go back to their youthful innocence, or an estranged lover who doesn't know what changed. These stories depict a crucial period where LGBT people must start to understand themselves. Moving over to Ryan, the entire story in True Colors is something of a crossroads for Alex. Most of her arc is about accepting who she is and trying to change herself for the better. While both of the main love interests represent parts of each, Ryan primarily represents self-acceptance. Ryan is a dork, in the most lovable way. He's the type of person that you could spend a couple of hours with talking about absolutely nothing and walk away happier. There's a scene in the game where Alex tells Ryan about her powers, and Ryan tells her she's a superhero. Now to us this is an understandable position, but to Alex her powers have been a curse all her life. This feeling of being different from everyone around you, and finally finding a person that not only accepts who you are, but can find the good in it, is incredibly powerful. This is something many queer people struggle with in the years following their personal realization. While Alex and Ryan's relationship may not be queer, it still represents those same themes found within queer storytelling. Taking a look at Elliot and Ryan from a different angle, how do these two contrast with the queer love interests, Rachel and Steph? It is obvious to see how Rachel treats Chloe differently from how Elliot does. Where Elliot simply tries to appease, Rachel forces her will onto Chloe. Now this may seem harmful, and in the short term it is. Rachel ends up convincing Chloe to skip school early on, and the two stumble into quite a bit of trouble throughout the game. Despite this, I think this is exactly what Chloe needs to overcome her current state, to not be treated as Subject X. In this way, Elliot provides the perfect foil for Rachel. Both characters are primarily concerned with themselves, but Rachel goes about her goals in a way that is good for Chloe's long-term growth. Chloe is in an uncertain part of her life. She doesn't know who she is or who she wants to be. What Rachel gives her is direction, while Elliot could only offer feigned understanding. Direction keeps with the themes of coming out that Before the Storm has been playing with and gives something of a mentor for all of those lacking direction themselves. Now, how does Steph compare to Ryan? While Ryan's influence is mostly about acceptance, Steph is mostly focused on growth and change. Steph has a very confident personality and has many years of experience with failure and growing from that failure. This makes her relationship with Alex about stepping out of the role that she's been placed in. In this way, Steph and Ryan complement each other by both supporting Alex in different but necessary ways. This struggle to grow is one many people find themselves in, and the game shows just how important it is to find people that will help you and in turn you help as well. Now let's take a look at how Elliot and Ryan impact the overall theme and tone of the game. Right away, these two differ in terms of how they support their respective love interests. Elliot has themes of nice guy syndrome, where he thinks that simply by being someone who spends time with Chloe, he is deserving of a relationship. Compare this with Ryan, who values Alex as a person first and foremost. It is shown that Ryan would be happy for Alex whether she chooses him or not, which differs dramatically from Elliot, who becomes enraged when Chloe doesn't choose to be with him. Each of these characters influence the themes of their games in different ways. Elliot mostly helps with the themes of breaking free of those who would hold you back. Ryan, meanwhile, plays into the themes of supporting people with no strings attached. Each of these characters are part of heteronormative culture, but it is clear to us through these stories how we should approach each of these characters. I think each game does a great job of making us understand how these characters fit into our perception of the world, and does its best to try and show us how to care for others. So, what makes Elliot and Ryan different? I think it mostly comes out to who they care about most in their relationships and how they go about showing their affections. Both are well-written characters, as Elliot gives those who may resemble him a chance for self-reflection, and Ryan gives an example for those unsure how to treat others. These types of characters are crucial for queer storytelling because they give us ways of expanding our worldview. This is, to me, the essence of queer storytelling: the ability to look at others and tell how they are different, but in some ways similar to ourselves.